In this video we're going to look at tree diagrams. Tree diagrams are a way of listing what can happen in two events and all the possible outcomes. It's very useful for working out and solving probability questions based upon that. Okay, so here's a typical question, and I'll show you how to fill out the tree diagram. So Tom and Sam take turns throwing a dart at a target. The probability Tom hits the target is 0.3, the probability that Sam hits the target is 0.2. So what we're going to do is we're going to represent this on a tree diagram. So, as you notice, we've got here we've got a branch here, or two pair of branches here for Tom. So this is the Tom's throw, and this would be Sam's throw. So you've got your two events, the first event and the second event. Okay, so let's then fill in the probabilities. So the probabilities goes along the branches. So Tom hitting the target was 0.3. So that's why Tom can either hit or miss the target, and that's why you've got 0.3 on the hit branch. The miss branch, obviously if hitting the target is 0.3, missing the target would be 0.7. Okay, because these two have to add up together to make 1, and that will always be the case in each pair of branches. So here, these will add up to be 1, these will add up to be 1. Okay, so here we've got Tom can either hit and miss, and there's the probabilities. Sam, he can either hit and miss. Now obviously we've had to put in two pairs of branches for Sam, because we've got Tom could hit and then Sam then throws, or Tom could miss and then Sam throws. So Sam hitting is 0.2, so missing would be 0.8, hitting is 0.2, and missing is 0.8. So here we've got all the possible outcomes over the two events. So we've got Tom could hit and Sam could hit, Tom could hit and Sam could miss, Tom could miss and Sam could hit, and Tom could miss and Sam could miss. So we've got all the possible outcomes here. Okay, sometimes I just put this in. So hit, hit miss, so hit miss, miss hit, so miss hit, and miss miss, so miss miss. To find the probabilities of hit hit, hit miss, miss hit, and miss miss, what you do is you multiply along the branches. So hit and hit, so that's the and rule, multiply. So you're going to do 0.3 times 0.2, which would be 0.06. So you multiply along the branches. Then you've got hit miss, so that would be 0.3 times 0.8. So 0.3 times 0.8 equals 0.24. So we've got our probabilities of hit hit and hit miss. Now miss hit, so miss was 0.7 and hit is 0.2, so you do 0.7 times 0.2, which equals 0.14. And finally, miss miss, which is 0.7 times 0.8, so you do 0.7 times 0.8, which equals 0.56. And notice for the two events then, all these probabilities will add up together to be 1. 0.06 plus 0.24 is 0.3, plus 0.14 and 0.56 then would add up together to give you 1. So this is how you do a tree diagram. You fill in the probabilities on the branches, and you make sure that whenever you want to find the probability of a hit say, then you multiply along the branches. Hit miss, you multiply along the branches, and so on. Okay, so the question then followed this was, what's the probability Tom and Sam both hit the target? So both hit the target would be hit hit, so that's hit hit. So you just do 0.3 times 0.2, which equals 0.06. So the probability would be 0.06. Michael throws a stone at a target. He throws a second stone at a target, or he then throws a second stone at the target. So he's going to throw 2 stones. The probability he hits the target on the first throw is 1/5. If he hits a target on the first throw, the probability he hits it on the second throw would be 1/3, and if he misses it on the first throw, the probability he hits it on the second throw is 1/4. So let's have a look at it. So we've got the first throw and the second throw. So the first throw, the chance of hitting is 1/5, so missing would be 4/5. Okay, the second throw, notice that if he hits it on the first throw, so if he hits it on the first throw, the chance of him hitting it on the second throw would be 1/3, so missing would be 2/3. And it says if he misses on the first throw, so if he goes down this way, instead of going up the way this way, if he goes down here, if he misses, the chance of him hitting the target is 1/4. So hitting is 1/4, and missing then would be 3/4. Notice the probabilities on these two branches aren't the same. That's because they're dependent on what happens on the first throw. But notice they still add up to give you 1. So 1/3 plus 2/3 is 1. 1/4 plus 3/4 is 1. 1/5 plus 4/5 is 1. Anyway, so he could hit, so hit, So that's going to be 1/5 times 1/3. So 1/5 times 1/3. Remember, to multiply fractions, you just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So that's 1/15. The chance of hit missing, so hit and a miss, would be 1/5 times 2/3. 1/5 times 2/3, which is equal to 2/15. Then you've got miss hit, so miss and then a hit would be 4/5 times 1/4. So miss hit is 4/5 times 1/4. 4/5 times 1/4. So it would be 4/20. But if you simplify that down, so it's going to be 1/5. And finally, miss would be 4/5 times 3/4. So miss would be equal to 4/5 times 3/4, which would be equal to 12/20. And if you cancel that down, that's going to be equal to 3/5. Okay, so we've got all our probabilities. So let's look at the questions. So the first question says, what is the probability Michael hits the target on both throws? So that's going to be hit. So it's going to be 1/15. And show your method. So 1/5 times 1/3. Okay, which would be 1/15. The next question says, work out the probability that Michael hits the target only once in the two throws. So he's going to hit once out of the two. So that could either be a hit and a miss, because he hits it once here out of the two, so it could be this option, or it could be a miss and a hit, so it could be this option. Now if it's this option or this option, you add these two probabilities together. So if you want to find out the chance of him hitting it only once, you would add this together, this probability and this probability. So you're going to do 2/15 plus 1/5. So 1/5, if you times top and bottom here by 3, you would get 2/15 plus times top and bottom here by 3, you get 3/15. Add those together, you get 5/15, and cancel that down, then we give you an answer of 1/3. Okay, so if you want to find the probability of two options, so hit and miss, or miss and hit, you add those two probabilities together. If the question said at least one hit, you could have miss hit, hit miss, hit hit, and you would add these three up together. Okay,